What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. You're probably saying to yourself, this guy doesn't stream on Saturdays. What's going on? Mellaruru, appreciate the subscription. So my bot's not working right now. The Bang Money would have shown you that my goal for 2022 is to be fully transparent with all the money that comes in. I'm donating to groups whose primary mission it is to increase diversity in tech. So I'm here to help people get jobs in the tech industry, but a lot of the advice that I give is applicable across the board as far as like building resumes, showing your value to a company, getting through just general interviews. But my primary focus is on like helping people find their first job in the tech industry. And please know that your subscription money, I absolutely appreciate it. 100% of that is going to someone else. It's not staying in my pocket whatsoever. And so I'm like this close to getting that $100 threshold with Twitch to get the first $100 from them. But I've had other money coming in from private resume reviews and so on. And just, yeah, please know that all that money's like 100% going out to another cause. It's not staying in my pocket at all. So I appreciate the subscription. I really, really do. Thanks for participating in that. So yeah, today we got to fix our Nanoleaf panels, and I need to get the bot up and running again. So there's a handful of things that I'm going to be doing on the stream that aren't necessarily going to be tech interview related, but if you do have questions, please drop them in chat. I'm happy to take questions kind of as we go. And so if you've got questions about like how to get a job, how to stand out to a company, what kind of projects to build, all that kind of stuff, absolutely happy to help out with that. So just drop those in chat as we go. Otherwise, I'll probably be in like more presentation mode where I'm showing my code editor and working on a bit of code to try to fix my bot and to try to get these Nanoleaf panels going. For some reason, when I turned them on this morning, I've got 3 control panels that actually control all of the lights and what happens on all the lights. The one down here in the bottom right corner is typically the primary one that I control with an IP address that I know that I can go in and I can manipulate the API to make them do all different colors and so on and different effects, which I have tied into my bot. And my bot is also broken because I got to fix the authentication. But I have 3 control panels. One's here. This one is also a control panel. You see the white light is on in the corner, meaning it's ready for instructions. And the other one is over here. Got to learn how to repoint as a weatherman kind of thing. This one's also a control panel. But for some reason, when I turned them on this morning, because I had some power outages yesterday, and these lights were not connected to an uninterruptible power supply like my computers and my 3D printers. Here's one of the UPS systems over here plugged into my that my printers are plugged into, but these systems were not plugged into that. And so when I turned it on this morning, the whole thing reset, and now this panel thinks it's in charge of the whole like panel thing on the wall. And so I basically have to start unplugging some of them and make sure that this one is the one that's in charge, and these other 2, so this one over here and this one here, act as like secondaries to this one as a primary. And so I basically got to go in and I've got to like unplug them, replug them in. So you're going to see me like disassembling some of those. But first I got to get my bot back online. And so I have to go through kind of an authentication system where I have to go get new OAuth tokens and so on. At some point I do want to build that as an automated thing in my bot where, I only have to go get that auth token like one time and it'll just refresh from there. So sounds like you solving CSS problems. Yeah, it's a hardware issue though, not a software issue. I wish it were software. It would be much easier to take into account. But hey, while you're here, let's chat about something else that I got down here. I'm doing a giveaway. And so I've got a whole daily email series that you'll see down at the very bottom of these notes. If my bot was working, you could do bang email, and that would give you all the information about it. But basically, the email series, it's a set of like questions that you could get asked during technical interviews and how to answer them. But I don't do the typical thing that you'll see online where it's like, these are the 50 most common questions and here's how to answer them. What I do instead is I take those questions and I explain, this is why this kind of question is important to me as an interviewer. And I kind of give you the interviewer's perspective on it. So I've been in the tech industry a long time. This week I actually hit my 26th anniversary of graduating from college. I finished a computer engineering program and I've been in the tech industry ever since. I've been working as a developer. I've also done management roles. I've done lead developer roles. I've done architect roles. I've done director of engineering type roles. And now I'm in what we call developer relations or developer advocacy, where it's a little more on the education side, still involved in engineering and product features and things like that. But it's focusing a little bit more on the education side of things. And I work for a company called Postman, which is an API platform for building and testing APIs. A lot of people primarily use it just for testing APIs, but we do the whole development lifecycle all within Postman. And so I work there doing full-time developer advocacy. But on the side, I built out this whole website called techinterview.guide. So you can literally just type techinterview.guide in your browser and it'll go over, and there's tons of free content over there. Everything I do is free. All the money that comes in is 100% going out this year. And so I'm going to be working on a page where I can show more of that transparency about, like, if you want a private resume review, I charge $50, but that $50 is also going in that pot. And I want to be really transparent about all the money coming in and how I'm sending that money out to other groups whose primary mission it is to increase diversity in tech. I've been a white dude in tech for 26 years. I would like to work around other non-white, non-male people in the tech industry. So Sethi, good to see you in chat as well. Hello. The bot is broken today, so we're going to fix the bot. And then part of why I'm streaming today is there's a channel that I follow. The person's name is Loyal Moses. That's actually his name. His name is Loyal. His last name is Moses. And he runs a whole channel where he's been primarily building up a 3D printing community, and I do a lot of 3D printing. And so I hang out on his community, and it's a really, really great community. But one thing that he's doing today is a streamer appreciation day. And so what he's encouraging people is, hey, go stream and then raid into his channel. And so we're going to stream here for, I don't know, hour and a half, see how much of the bot I can get fixed up and see if I can get these nanoleaf panels back online. And then we're going to go right into his channel. There are going to be giveaways for you as the viewers. And then there's also going to be a way for me to kind of like sort of join the call on his stream and kind of introduce what I do. And then I'm going to get entered into a giveaway for some streaming gear, including a Stream Deck XL. It's this little, it's kind of like a keyboard. It's like a programmable keyboard. It's got 30 keys on it, and you can do really interesting stream effects. Like you can hit a button and it'll change sceneries or, do different kinds of things. For me, I've got like different buttons on mine where I can just add little macros or tell it to open a browser or whatever. And it doesn't just have to be for streaming. You can use it for just everyday tasks like start my code editor, open a terminal, type this in the terminal. Like you can do all kinds of really interesting things. You can control lights and stuff like that. So for example, I can go in here and I can change this light bar down here in the bottom. Let's make it green, or I can make it red, or I can make it like my kind of the shade of purple. I promise it's actually purple. It comes out blue on the camera just because of camera lighting, but so there's all kinds of interesting things you can do. And I have a small version of the Stream Deck. And so today Loyal's giving away a large version of this with 30 keys. And he's also giving away these big panel lights. Each of those devices that he's giving away are worth about $250. I don't need the lights. I don't need to get the Stream Deck XL. I'm perfectly okay with just the 15 key one, but hey, it's a giveaway. But there's also going to be stuff that he's giving away for the viewers. Rumor has it he's maybe giving away a 3D printer. And so it's going to be worth it to hang out in his channel for a little bit and get in those drawings. He's going to be streaming all day long, and I don't know what time he's going to be doing some of these drawings. There's going to be some t-shirt giveaways. There's going to be like a bunch of stuff. I'm sure at some point he'll be giving away like 3D filament because that's kind of his main primary draw. So at some point, over the next hour and a half or so, we're going to raid into his channel. But in the meantime, I thought it'd be kind of fun to just kind of show folks like what I've been building as far as this chatbot, but I got to get the nanoleaf panels back online. But getting the chatbot online is more important for me right now than getting the nanoleaf panels up and running. So we will eventually do that. There are basically, there's like channel point redemptions that you can do where you can say like, I want to change the nanoleaf panels or I want to make them blink. Don't use those because they're not going to work until I get the nanoleaf back online. And basically I just have to get this panel back in charge of the whole wall. And it was because of the power outage. And so the other thing I might try to do at some point is see if I can take there's a power outlet right here that you see. There's a whole mess of things plugged into a little power brick. I want to take that thing and like unplug it from the wall and actually plug it into this uninterruptible power supply that I got over here that my 3D printers are plugged into. But it's also running this computer and this TV and the light bar on the desk and the LED panel or the nanoleaf panels. So there's a lot of stuff plugged in there. I've got to make sure I safely shut all that stuff down and then get all that plugged into the UPS over here. And then I have to make sure the power draw isn't going to cause a problem. If there's a power flicker, that it's not going to cause the 3D printers to kind of go haywire, because I'm printing a ton of stuff for a giveaway. So that's the other thing that you see in the notes down here. I'm doing a giveaway. So that daily email series that I mentioned a few minutes ago, basically every stream in the month of May that I do, starting tomorrow, I'm going to start doing some giveaways. And the giveaways are for some 3D printed dragons that I've been making. And I'll show them to you here in a moment. And basically every stream, I'm going to pick someone in chat and say, like, you know, we're going to do like a giveaway, and you can like say something in chat or whatever, like there'll be like a exclamation point enter, what we call bang enter, and you'll be able to type that and you'll get in the draw for a giveaway, and I'll just draw a couple of names and I'm going to give away a couple of these things. But I'm also going to draw a random subscriber to my email series. And so go ahead and subscribe to that email series. You'll start getting them tomorrow, but as long as you're in the database for the email series, you're going to get potentially drawn as a winner. Now that email series that I was talking about, it's all these interview questions, and like I said, the perspective of what I'm writing in the emails is like, as an interviewer, this is why these questions are important to me, important to my company. There's no ads in that email series. You can unsubscribe at any time. And when it's over, it's 6 weeks long. So you get a new email every day for 6 weeks. And as soon as it's over, it automatically unsubscribes you. It dumps you out of my database permanently. And so if you want to sign up for it again, you can. You just resubscribe, you know, and it'll start over at that point. But in the meantime, it unsubscribes you. And so, and you can also reply to any message, and it gets directly to my inbox. And so if you have a question about it, or you want feedback on a particular thing that I mentioned in some of the emails, like, hey, the very first email I send is like, tell me about yourself. And I explain what we're really asking when we ask you that question. We're not asking for your life story. I want you to summarize in a hurry what value you bring to my company. And you know, and I, you know, that's the summarized version. It's like several paragraphs long, but that's the kind of content that's in that email series. And so you get 6 weeks of those kinds of emails of, you know, this is why it's important to me. And so I'm going to be drawing one subscriber every stream that I do in May. And that's going to include my work account as well. I may do them during my work account because I got a whole gaggle of these 3D printed dragons behind me on the desk. Show them this way. So you can kind of see them on the desk back here. I'm going to get them up close here and show you on the camera what they actually look like. Castile, good to see you in chat as well. Thanks for dropping by again. And so, yeah, so I'm going to be drawing winners every stream that I do in May, starting tomorrow. 1 or 2 people in chat are going to get a dragon, and I'm going to ship it to you. Wherever you are, I'm going to ship it to you. And then I'm also going to draw 1 random email subscriber as well. So I got to change the headers on the emails to say like, hey, for the month of May, I'm doing this giveaway. And then when May is over, like, stop doing that announcement. But I want to get people in those giveaways. So let me show you what these 3D dragons look like, and then I'll take a look at Melaruru's question. So I have 2 different styles of 3D printed dragons. The one that's been the most popular has been this guy here. Now, I like using multiple color filaments. So when this one prints, it starts printing kind of this dark color, and then it goes up to a rust, and then it goes to a gold, and then it goes back to the dark color. And so as it prints, it gradually sort of changes color, and then you get this really interesting effect. And basically it prints all in one piece. So it 3D prints all in one piece, and when you take it off the printer, all the little hinges inside have been 3D printed all together, and it basically moves, or as we call it, articulates. It articulates. And so I've got that one. That's my favorite color combination, that 3 color. But then I've also got some rainbow color filament as well. And so it kind of starts off and it will transition around different colors. And you get these really interesting effects where, you know, based on the height of the model. Like the spikes up here are very, very blue, and then gradually that blue goes away because this part didn't print as tall. But notice the tip of his tail was tall, and so you get a tiny little bit of the blue on the tip of the tail. And so this model by far has been like a really, really popular model. And so most of the dragons that I have are that model. But then there's this other model that came out that someone else made. And this one's called the Imperial Dragon. Now this one's much, much longer, but it's also articulated. But this one will actually stand up. And so this guy here, you can actually kind of prop back up on himself and he'll actually stand up. Where the other one won't. You'll need like some kind of stand if you want to position it in some way. Now we see these little wisps hanging off the side here. This is just a little bit of leftover filament off the 3D printer. I'll make sure all that stuff gets cleaned up. And so when you're in chat, you're going to get to choose which model of the 3D printed dragon you want, and then which colors I have left over. And then as they're claimed, we'll have fewer and fewer colors. But you know, this guy is really, really long. This thing's probably how long? I have a measurement tool right here beside me, and I'm not using it. So the Imperial Dragon is 27 inches long, and this one, I think it's 24 inches, about 23 inches long. So they're pretty decent size, and they all print kind of coiled up, and then you take it off the printer, and it starts moving right away. They're pretty great models for sure. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe to the email series, but also if you're here in chat, you'll have the opportunity to win one of them in chat throughout the month of May. And I'll keep track of the winners because I want to make sure that, you know, somebody's not winning multiple times and so on. Cool. Well, let's go look at Milaruru's question here. So bear with me while I do this little... Oh, I can't do the marker thing because my bot's not working. All right, that's fine. I'll just go back later. So I've got these commands in my chatbot where I can keep track of where I start and stop answering a question, so I can extract that audio for the podcast and make short YouTube videos later on. But because my bot's not working right now, I can't do that. But I'm going to go ahead and answer your question anyway. I'll just go back and figure this out in the video later. So Milaruru says, I'm currently working through JavaScript, learning APIs and object-oriented programming. I've also gone through HTML and CSS. I'm looking into front-end jobs. Would this be enough, at least, to have a chance when applying, or should I dive into React beforehand? That's a great question. Knowing JavaScript as a programming language is going to equip you for a front-end or a back-end job. You'll be able to do either. Knowing HTML and CSS is obviously going to be front-end, but knowing just JavaScript and kind of the object-oriented nature of JavaScript is going to equip you to be able to go build like Node and Express back-end APIs that a front-end could consume. And so you're really equipping yourself by learning that core fundamental part of JavaScript. You're really equipping yourself to be a full-stack engineer. You could do either. Now, if you want a front-end developer role, React by far is the most popular framework right now, as of April 2022. I'm sure if this video gets viewed years from now, it may not be as popular. But right now, it is by far the most popular framework. There are other frameworks, though. There's Vue and Elm and like several others that you can get into, and Backbone and things like that, where you can also build up front-end websites using HTML and CSS and like building out like Angular or Material UI. Like there's lots of these frameworks that you can use. And whether or not they use the same sort of component system that React does really depends on the framework. But knowing a framework is going to make it much, much easier for you to get a front-end job than just knowing what we call vanilla JavaScript, like just JavaScript by itself. So I would highly, highly recommend, I would recommend if you want a front-end job, I would highly recommend go learn a front-end framework. If you're just interested in just working in JavaScript in general, like I said, you're equipping yourself very well to go get a back-end developer job if that is of interest to you. So it really depends on where you want to take your career and what you want to do with your career. You could start as a back-end developer, learn React on the side, and then talk to where you work and say, hey, I'd like to, do a little bit on the front end if that would be okay, or transition from one to the other, or work on a little bit of everything. You'll be equipping yourself for that. Now, if you're at the point where you're still just learning and you're trying to get that first job in tech, I will say you're probably going to be, you'll be more sort of, not attractive, that's not the right word. You will be more, what's the word I'm looking for? My mind just blanked on me. You'll have more of an advantage talking to an employer if you have some kind of framework, either Node and Express for the framework on the back end to build APIs, or something like React or Vue or Angular on the front end to be able to build out front end apps. Just vanilla JavaScript on its own may not be enough to really attract an employer to you. But when you're coming up with these project ideas, you want to build projects that are going to be kind of in line with the companies where you want to apply for work. And so what you want to do is you want to go find companies where you're interested. You want to look at job postings that they have and see what are they interested in, and then go learn some of those technologies, build a couple of small projects, and then go apply and say, hey, I've been building out these projects because I really want to work there, and I see that this is something that your company really values, and so I went and learned this because I want to come work at your company. And it'll make that introduction a little bit smoother. So it will involve a little bit of what we call company research around how do you find companies where you want to work, and then what's interesting to them, and how do you position yourself to show that value to them. So those would be key things that I would be looking at there. If you have other questions, things I can narrow down from there, please feel free to drop additional things in chat, and we'll go from there. Cool. Sathi, give me one moment to get a few things started here on my side, and then I'll get to your question as well. I just need to really want to get my bot back up and running here. And it helps if you spell things properly. Localhose is not the same as localhost. I just need to go update a few configuration things, and then I can share my screen, and we can dive in a little bit on getting my bot working and so on. Let me go find, where's my bot? Am I logged in anywhere from my bot? I don't think that I am. I don't think I am anyway. All right, so let me go start an anonymous browser. Oh, I am logged in with the bot somewhere. Somewhere I have that available. All right, so localhost 3000. We'll get a new authentication token for you. Actually, that one is from a different spot. Well, I may need that one anyway. And then go to Twitch apps. All right, let's see if that's enough to get my bot back up and running here. Success. All right, so our bot should be online. There we go. I already dropped a reminder in so we know we're working. We do a bang hello, and it'll give you a funny little greeting. And if we do hydrate, will it listen to channel point redemptions? Yep, so it'll listen to channel point redemptions too. So we're good. Our bot's online. So if so one thing that I wanted to build, because not everybody likes asking questions in public. A lot of people come and lurk on the channel but don't necessarily want to ask a question. And so I made an anonymous feature here that we can do where we do bang anon. And basically it says if you send a whisper to the bot, it'll ask your question anonymously. And I would actually have to go log in as the bot to see who it is. So I even try to hide that from myself so it doesn't bias anything. And I usually use the caveat like, you know, if you whisper something to the bot that's kind of spammy, then I'm going to shut off access to that. And I do want to build out an admin function that says like, hey, ignore whispers for a little while, or ignore whispers from a particular user or something because they're spamming it. And so I might need some way for the bot to keep track of who sent a whisper. So if I say like, hey, go look for these words in a previous message and block that user from future whispers or something like that, that it'll remember like, hey, that person's on timeout for, you know, some amount of time, so they're not like spamming. So we'll have to figure something out there, you know, or maybe I can get the whisper bot to not forward, things with links in them, something like that. We'll have to figure that kind of stuff out as we go. But cool, our bot's back online. I basically had to redo some authentication stuff in order to get that working. So we're all good there. Let's see, what else are we gonna need to do? I want to do one more check. Just want to make sure that this is working over here. Yeah, okay, so the bot's still working over on Loyal's channel. So I basically have a chatbot working over on Loyal Moses's channel right now for him doing his giveaways. I want to just make sure that that's working. So I just want to make sure a new auth token didn't break the bot over here. Cool, all right. So we're good to go as far as all of that. So the only other thing I have to do is like tear apart these nano leaf panels so that y'all can control those again, and hopefully make that a little more robust from breaking in the future. So let's go back and take a look at Sethi's question. So Sethi said in chat, last Sunday you advised on how to research the companies I'm planning to apply for, and if possible, use their products in my projects. Currently, the city I'm living in has a lot of insurance and finance based industries and have major CS hires in their team. The issue is most of the jobs on their website are requiring 2 years of experience in React or Spring along with Java, which I'm lacking in. Do you have some pointers for how I can overcome this? So there's lots of things to kind of break down here. So bear with me as I kind of like get my train of thought going here. So in your area, they're looking for people with experience for React and Java. I would say first and foremost, forget the experience part. Apply anyway. And just say, I've built up these projects. That kind of counts towards experience. It may not be professional experience, but you can show them, you can demonstrate that you have the skill that they're looking for. And that's really why you're building out these projects. You want it because our industry, I say this on the stream a lot, our industry is one of the few industries where you have to prove to them, you have to demonstrate to them that you have the skill in order to get the job. And I often use an example of like a doctor, for example, doesn't have to say like, go do surgery on that person. And if they live through the surgery, then you get the job as a doctor here. They don't have to do that because they're licensed and they're you kind of build up this reputation, and based on your license and your experience, they say, oh, you've been working in pediatrics for 5 years. Okay, cool. We'll hire you as a pediatric doctor because you're licensed and you've got that experience. They're not going to necessarily grill you on all the technical aspects of what it means to be a pediatrician and so on. But in our industry, in the tech industry, there's so many different types of programming and so many different kinds of development that it's really hard to say like, oh, I'm a developer. And they're like, are you really? Like, prove it. Prove you're a developer. Like, show us that you can actually code. And so there's a lot of demonstration that happens in our interview process. And there are pros and cons. Like, I can see as a business owner and as a previous director and manager, there's value in having someone demonstrate that they can do the job. There's value in that. There is also value as the candidate of showing them like, no, I really can do the job. But at the same time, as a candidate, it can be very anxiety inducing to have to code on the spot while someone's watching. But it is a very important part of our interview process. And so that's not going away. What people ask you to code does vary quite a lot. And those are the kinds of things where our tech industry needs to be a little bit better about what kinds of things are they asking you to code. And just coding LeetCode problems is not a good indicator of whether you can do the day-to-day job that they need you to do. And so that would be the first thing that I would say is like, don't worry about the experience. Just go build some projects that they're going to care about. If you can build out some React projects, if you can build out some React projects, then you can show that you can do that front end job. Working in Java and Spring, sorry, my voice is going funny for a sec. Java and Spring is going to be more of the back end. It's not going to be as much of the front end. Although Spring as a framework can sort of develop and display like front end based templates. And so you can generate templates within Spring and like show those. Most frameworks have a way of like sending HTML back to the browser as opposed to like JSON or XML. And so working in Java and Spring is really meant to be kind of like a full stack type of framework, but you can just build like just a backend API. So you could go build just a simple Java Spring sort of backend. Now you mentioned in your question that you're not strong in Java and Spring, and that's okay. Um, a lot of companies, like it's far easier for me to teach you the technical skills that you don't have than for me to teach you the soft skills of communication, collaboration, working on a team, getting along with other people, knowing how to like build code that other people can read. Like those are harder skills to actually teach somebody. And those are things that you kind of develop on your own over time. So those would be my main points for that portion of your question. Now let me go back to your full question here. So a lot of the companies in your area are insurance and finance based. Those are going to tend to be a little more bureaucratic, but the nice thing about those kinds of jobs is they tend to be larger companies. So for example, if you're in an area where you've got like State Farm or a Wells Fargo bank or something like that, they're going to be much bigger companies. You're going to get a lot more support on those teams than if it was like Joe and Bob's, insurance shack or something like that, where it's like a very small company and they're not going to have as big of a team. So ideally, if you're going to get into a company like that, there's going to be a lot more structure. There's going to be a lot more bureaucracy, which could slow down the pace of development a little bit, which then also allows you to grow at a more sustainable pace instead of what we call throwing you in the deep end of the pool, where you've got to like really struggle and you got to like really, learn things in a hurry to like, to sort of show that value and to contribute to the team. And so larger companies tend to have a little more flexibility with the onboarding process and how you're kind of getting up to speed and how you're learning things. And you're going to have a lot more developers around you that you can ask questions of and kind of hear about the process and kind of watch how they work and so on. And so those kinds of companies are actually very good learning environments. Now, some people don't like the slower pace of that learning environment. They want to get in, they want to learn things in a hurry, and they want to contribute in a hurry. I would say don't go apply for those companies. Go find like smaller startups or something like that instead. And so it really depends on where you want to take your career. And that's the nice thing about tech. I say this on the stream a lot. The tech industry is basically a giant choose your own adventure kind of book. If you have ever seen those books where you get to the end of a chapter and it's like, if you want the character to do this, go to this page. And if you want them to do that instead, go to this page. And as you flip through the book, your choices have sort of different consequences. And it's a very clever way of writing a book, but our industry is also like that too. So you can say, I want to start as a backend developer, dabble a little bit in front end. Maybe I want to become a front end developer later. And it's like, no, you know what? I want to like dabble in DevOps, or I want to try out this developer relations thing, or I want to do more of this, more of that. I want to get into some QA, or I want to, practice this or practice that. And you're really in charge of your career. I've done lots of different kinds of roles over my career in 26 years. I've done all kinds of different contributor kind of things. I've done DevOps. I've done database administrator. I've been like a data center builder. Like I actually go and I rack the servers and do all the networking. I've done, the management types roles and the director type roles where you're in charge of like larger projects and directing your teams for how to go build things. I've done the developer relations thing. As I mentioned, I've also been a software educator. So I actually taught at this school, the Turing School of Software and Design. I was an instructor there for almost 4 years. So I've had a lot of career changes myself just within the tech industry. There are a lot of different things that you can do and how you sort of advocate for yourself to go learn those skills and then go find another job. And so you have the ability to go find other things that you want to do. And so as you kind of progress into your career, you say, okay, well, I'm going to get that job at that insurance company or that finance company just to get started, just to get a little bit of experience. Work there for a year, year and a half, 2 years, and literally anybody will hire you after that. Getting the first job in tech is the worst. It's the worst of like getting any other job in tech, because convincing somebody that you can do the job is hard. But once you have that first job on your resume where you can say, yeah, I actually worked there for a year, year and a half, 2 years, people are like, cool. All right. Clearly you can do the job, and that makes it much easier for them to trust that you can do the job. And that makes it a lot easier to start getting into that interview process. But to get into that interview process as your first job is much, much harder. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help people kind of navigate those waters and to try to, learn, try this, try that, and try to find ways to make that a little bit easier for folks. So kind of going back to the overall theme of like the city where you're in are insurance and finance based companies, that's fine. What about remote jobs? You don't have to work in insurance and finance if you're willing to work remote. Pairing with other people and learning from other people is easier if you're in an office environment where there are other people. But if health is a concern for you and you want to stay remote or be able to work remotely, then there's lots of remote jobs out there as well. But again, you've got to try to convince a company that you're worth taking that chance and taking that risk. And so by building those projects that they care about or working in technologies that they care about, it's a lot easier to demonstrate your ability to them that make them say, yeah, okay, this is somebody that we can start interviewing. And then it's on you to prove your value and to prove the skills that you have so that you can go get that job. So hopefully that kind of like wraps up a lot of that. I know that kind of went on for several minutes, but the primary thing is I would say don't worry about having years of experience. If you've got projects and you can demonstrate that skill, just go apply for the job. The worst they'll say is no, but at least you've applied for the job, you've built out those projects, and now you've got an even bigger portfolio to present to other companies. And if that company doesn't want to hire you, if there are several insurance companies, go apply to all of them. If there are several finance companies, go apply to all of them. X90, good to see you in chat. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. So X90 has been in the industry for a little while too, and loves to share advice and stuff as well. So feel free to ping X90 as well. I tend to grab people who have industry experience and flag them as VIPs in my channel here. So when they chat in the first time, my bot's like, hey, VIP in the house. So X has experience in the industry as well. And so I love having people kind of building up my community and say like, these are other people that you can get opinions and perspectives from as well. Because I don't want to just be the only perspective you listen to. I highly, highly encourage people, go listen to other opinions, go listen to other perspectives. I've been doing this a while. I've been doing it a hot minute. I've got ideas. I've got, thoughts on how to build a resume and how to do that company research and so on. But mine should not be the only opinion that you listen to. But I'm trying to build a community here on Twitch where we can all share our ideas and so on. And I love having people on the stream as well, like actually have people on the stream with me as guests so that we can hear their perspective and not just have people typing all the time. I like having people on the stream. And again, kind of with my whole goal of diversity, the next several guests I have on the stream, I want to have coming from a diverse background where we can hear what was their journey into tech, how did they get into tech, how did they get that first job, what was it like for them working in the industry, and what kind of jobs have they had. And so the last several guests we've had have been not white male guests, and I want to continue that trend through 2022. But yeah, X, good to see you in chat. So let me scroll back and chat a little bit because I know I kind of went on a little long with that explanation. So Millaruru says, would a good project to add to my portfolio be an application that involves an authentication and authorization process? Yeah, auth is a huge part of being a developer. If you're a front-end dev, doing authentication to a back-end application is an important thing to learn, as well as things like CORS security, CORS. It's cross-origin request script, if I remember right. The funny thing about CORS is people are like, oh, it's a security thing to make it secure. Actually, CORS is like poking holes in your security to say, allow this website to go talk to the backend. But building auth systems is very, very important. Now, from a backend perspective, when you're building an auth system, one thing that I typically tell people in modern application development is don't worry so much about being an authentication provider. And by that, I mean, you don't have to store a username and password. There are companies out there that can store usernames and passwords in very secure ways. Companies like Google and social media sites and so on, where when you go to a site and you say log in with Google or log in with GitHub or log in with Twitch or log in with Facebook, whatever, and let them worry about the authentication. They've got much bigger teams. They're looking at security all the time. They can look at, attempted hacking and denial of service attacks and distributed denial of service attacks, or what we call DDoS. They are much better equipped to handle that kind of stuff. Let them worry about authentication. So you can certainly build out like, hey, go log in with GitHub and go see what that OAuth kind of handshake is and how to do that. Or, here's the Twitch OAuth and how to handle that handshake, or Google or Twitter or whatever. Now, a lot of that handshake is also going to involve what we call a refresh. And so, basically the idea of OAuth is like if I had like a pass card or whatever to get into something, if X90 was building an application with OAuth, for example, he would say, okay, Ian, go ahead and log in with GitHub, and then GitHub's going to give me a token which will allow me to do things to your GitHub account on your behalf. And that would be like me giving X90 my pass card to like get into the building where I work. He can effectively, assuming a he pronoun, apologize if that's not correct, but X could take my pass card and basically be me walking through that building by using my pass card. So I'm giving you permission to do things on my behalf. And that's basically what the OAuth tokens are all about. Now, sometimes those expire after a certain amount of time. It's not like a forever token. And so they will expire after an amount of time. And so part of that OAuth handshake is, hey, I want to go do this thing on GitHub on Ian's behalf. And GitHub's going to be like, oh, that's not valid anymore. And so part of that handshake is, here's a token where you can pretend to be Ian, and here's a refresh token. And so later on, when you try to use my main token, it says, oh, that token's not going to work anymore. You say, okay, well, here's the refresh token. Go give me a fresh one. And they're like, oh, okay, you have that refresh. Here's a new token. And then you start giving that one. And when they give you that new one, they also give you another refresh token. And so sometimes those tokens aren't long-lived tokens. And that's basically part of why my bot broke this morning, is because the OAuth token expired. And I had to go refresh and get a new token so that my bot could come back online and authenticate as me, and also authenticate as the ID 736 bot account that you see like right here in chat. And so the bot that's starting up has to act as that user on behalf of ID 736 bot. But then there are other things that it needs to do on my behalf, such as watching for channel point redemptions. If someone reminds me to hydrate, it will remind me to take a sip of coffee or water or whatever I have on hand. In this case, I've got some Dr. Pepper and some coffee because I need the caffeine right now. Had a late night last night. And so building an authentication system absolutely looks great on a resume. But don't do it as an authentication provider. You don't want to store usernames and passwords if you can help it. Now, some people don't have a GitHub account. So if their only option when they come to your website is log in with GitHub or give me a username and password, if they don't have a GitHub account, they're going to have to give you a username and password. And that's why a lot of sites, when you go to it, they'll give you a whole list of like log in with Google, log in with GitHub, log in with Facebook, log in with Twitter, log in with blah, 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 blah. Because they're basically saying like, yeah, the people that are going to use our site are probably using one of these 3 or 4 things. You don't want to overwhelm them and say, here's 50 choices that you can make, because then users will also forget which authentication system they used when they went to your site. And so you do want to limit it to some degree. And so you'll typically only see like 2 or 3 OAuth systems, or a choice of like, you can log in with your own username and password if you want to. So you could just build like, hey, I just built this as an authentication thing of like, I want to go, be able to read your email or go see your calendar events or something like that in Google. Or if I'm on Facebook, that I can go get a list of your friends or something like that, and just build that as a little project. That would look amazing on a resume for a new developer trying to get into the industry. That's a very strong project. Yes. Sethi also says, thanks, Ian, but for immigration related things, I need to be in this city for at least a year. That's fair. So I'm not saying that you necessarily have to move, but if you don't want to work in finance and insurance, you could just work remotely. So you can stay where you are in that city, but then also work for another company remotely, if that's a possibility. If you have to work locally for that immigration purpose, and I'm an immigrant myself here in the States. I'm originally from Canada, so I've had to go through the whole immigration process too. And so there can be things that sort of tie you to certain roles and certain positions and job titles and things like that. Like I came down on a NAFTA work visa, and so I had to have computer systems analyst as a job title, and my actual job description on my job offer letter couldn't say your primary role is a programmer. I had to be able to do multiple things as a computer systems analyst, And it forced me into kind of this generalist mindset of I need to do a little bit of programming, a little bit of DevOps, a little bit of database, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That made me a computer systems analyst so that I would qualify for the NAFTA job visa. So yeah, there's a lot of options for sure. And so Sethi, just kind of going back to your overall question of, finance and insurance. I mean, those companies being larger are also more likely to help with immigration systems than smaller companies. Smaller companies sometimes don't want to take on the expense and the legal timings and things like that, where larger companies have teams that have already done that kind of stuff, and they'll be far more willing to help out with that sort of thing. Cool. I appreciate these questions. These are fantastic questions. This is exactly why I love sort of sharing my perspective, because I also come from that bit of a diverse background. Even though I'm a white guy in tech, I've also been an immigrant. I've dealt with lots of different job scenarios. I've had to learn lots of things, build lots of projects, show that value to lots of companies. So that's the primary goal of my channel, is to help you show a company how you provide value to them. So yeah, keep the questions coming in. Happy to help out. X90, what have you been up to these days? How's work going? What kind of stuff are you doing on the side these days? So you mentioned Epic Games. I always forget which login I used at Epic Games. Oh yeah. Hey Melbury, good to see you in chat as well. Do you have any recommendations or advice for learning fundamentals for data structures before doing LeetCode style questions? Yeah, there are a lot of data structures out there. I would say that, like, as an entry-level developer, the primary data structures that you're going to have to deal with, not just on LeetCode, but just tech challenges in general, arrays and like hashes or dictionaries, are probably the two that you're going to use the most. I would say arrays first and foremost. You have to know how arrays work, how to index into arrays, how to iterate, get backwards and forwards over arrays. Those will be very fundamental. A lot of technical challenges will have to do with like two-dimensional arrays, where you're doing like grids, where you might have like XY coordinates. But arrays also get into sliding windows and two-pointer problems, and those are very popular in technical challenges. So arrays really cover the gamut. So that'll be the primary one that you're going to want to study. Second to that is going to be hash maps. Some languages like Python call them dictionaries. There is a map in JavaScript, which is less commonly used. A lot of people think, oh, you need like a key value. I'm just going to put that in an object, which works fine. But an object can also have methods attached, where a map is just the key value. Now, there's also a data structure that you can use, which is just the key. And so it's a unique list of keys, and we call that a set. A lot of programming languages have the notion of a set. And a set is basically, it's kind of like an array, but it's unique. And so as you add things to the set, if it's already there, it doesn't add it again. Where in an array, if you add something over and over, it will be in there many times. And so there are different use cases for why you'd want to use one over another. But I would say arrays and hashes are going to be your two primary ones that you're going to study. From there, I would learn about binary trees, because that is also a pretty common entry-level type of data structure that you'll face. Those three are probably going to cover 90 to 95% of LeetCode problems and the technical challenges that you're going to face. If you have more of a computer science background, you are more likely to get into harder LeetCode style data structures, where you're going to be dealing with things like graphs and more complicated types of data structures, like different kinds of trees, like prefix trees and black or red-black trees and that sort of thing. And so there's going to be a lot more involvement in those more complex data structures. But as an entry level, you probably won't face many of those. There are companies, though, that are known to really favor those complex data structures. So for like, I'm thinking of like Amazon, for example. Amazon really likes graph problems. And so if you're going to go apply for a job at Amazon, you're far more likely to get a graph problem than like just an array problem or a hash problem. Now, that's not to say that you will absolutely get a graph problem if you go interview at Amazon, but you are more likely to get a graph problem, because they really like what we call traversal algorithms, of like, how do you navigate over a data structure in lots of different ways in order to accomplish some kind of goal. So those would be the primary ones I would focus on, would be arrays first and foremost, and hashes. You have to know those. You have to know how to iterate over them. Like, how do you iterate over a hash? You can do that with keys, or depending on your language, you can unpack all of that all in one shot. So arrays and hashes first and foremost, binary trees as a third. And then if you've got additional time and you want to explore, look into graphs. But I would probably just focus on those first three, primarily arrays. That's going to be the number one type of data structure that you need for most LeetCode problems. Going to be arrays and hashes, or dictionaries as we call them in Python, for example. Sam KitKat, good to see you in chat as well. So Sam KitKat's also a streamer on here, and so go give Sam KitKat a follow. So these are the kinds of little things that I made my bot. Like, as you chat, it's actually going to go look up information about your Twitch account and go, oh, you're a streamer. Let's give you a shout out and encourage people to follow you. That's the kind of thing that, I think helps build up community and show, like, I've actually hung out on Sam KitKat's stream, and it's a very quiet, mellow kind of co-working kind of stream, and you get to watch Sam do their thing. So go check out Sam's stream. X90 says, our company just finished a large merger. Our team has been given a new mandate, so it's been very, very busy. That's cool. Outside of work, I just built a new PC. I've been configuring my development environment on Windows and Ubuntu. Are you doing the Windows subsystem for Linux Ubuntu inside of Windows, or are you doing like a dual boot? I used to do dual boot all the time, and now I'm like, you know what? I can just stay in Windows, because Windows has done a really good job of kind of the Windows subsystem for Linux, where I can just run Ubuntu now inside of Windows in the virtualization, and it is so smooth. It is amazing what Microsoft has done. I used to hate on Microsoft for not being very welcoming to open source, and they have completely reversed course over the last decade. They've done a fantastic job with Linux. I've actually heard a rumor that like a future version of Windows is going to be based on the Linux kernel and not the Windows NT kernel. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, if you've got additional questions, please feel free to drop those in chat. Always happy to take questions. And like I said, the primary goal for streaming today was to raid over to Loyal Moses, where he's going to be giving away stuff to people that raid in with me as a streamer. So you will all have a way to enter some sort of giveaway. I don't necessarily know what those giveaways are. I know that there's going to be some t-shirts involved, and he hinted, what's today? Yeah, he hinted last night on his stream, there may be a 3D printer giveaway. So he may be giving away a 3D printer. I don't know what time he's planning on doing the giveaway, but he's planning on streaming a long time today. And typically his thing is like, you have to be in chat in order to win. And so when we raid over, I may ask him like, hey, what time are you doing that giveaway? Like, how long are people going to have to hang out to win? But at some point over the next like hour or so, we're probably going to raid over to his channel. It enters me in a giveaway for some streaming gear if you are also a streamer. So Sam, one thing you may want to do, just as a heads up, you may want to stream at some point today and also raid into his channel. He's giving away a Stream Deck XL. It's the 30 key like programmable keyboard thing that you can do with OBS and do like scene transitions. He's giving away a Stream Deck XL, as well as the large Elgato key light. So the big like light panel. I've already got light panels and light setups and stuff like that. So I don't need the light, and I've already got the smaller version of the Stream Deck, so I don't need the Stream Deck XL. It'd be nice to have. If I happen to win the XL, I'm going to give mine away because I don't need two. I don't think I need two. I could probably find a way to use two. I'll use like one for sound effects and then one for the scenes and transitions and stuff. But for now, I'm happy with the one I have. But Sam, just as a heads up, you may want to go stream and also raid into Loyal Moses' channel. And like I said, the followers that come with you on the raid are going to be entered into some kind of drawing, or you get to enter some kind of giveaway as well. So something to think about, Sam, if you're up for it. X says dual boot. Some games I play do not like VMs running while you play. Interesting. Turning off WSL all the time. Yeah, because turning it on and off, you got to reboot anyway. So if you're going to reboot, you might as well dual boot. That's fair. Millaruru says, I'm constantly reading about how networking is the best way to get your foot in the door. 100% agree. So even before I finish reading your question, networking in the tech industry is probably going to find you a job way faster than just blasting out a bunch of resumes. I can't wrap my head around how to do this. I've been reaching out to software engineers on LinkedIn. I get radio silence. Just introducing myself and just say I'm looking to network and make friends. What's your recommendation for trying to get a referral for a job? Cool. Let me unpack this one a little bit for you. This is one of my favorite things to answer. When it comes to networking, like I said, it's absolutely going to get you a job much faster than just blind applying, but that's only if you can get people to respond. So here's what I recommend. You need to do this in tandem with your company research. So as you're researching companies where you want to work, that's where you're going to find, which employees to go reach out to in the first place. So if I want to go apply at company Acme Inc., I'm going to go look them up on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, then I can see a list of employees. And from there, I can go find people that I want to, try to reach out to and make a connection with. Now, keeping in mind, engineers are typically busy. They don't typically hang out on LinkedIn. They may not answer there right away. So I'll share a couple of sort of sneaky tips that I like to do with that. But what I would encourage is when you're on LinkedIn and you see that list of employees, find what we call a peer level engineer. So if you're new in the industry, go find a new engineer. Either somebody new at the company or someone who also has the same amount of experience that you have. So if you're an entry-level dev, go find another entry-level dev. If you're a more senior level dev, you'll find another senior level dev. And then go find someone more senior than you are and keep track of their names. You can try to reach out on LinkedIn, but I'm going to give you kind of my 30-second summary on like what to do to get them to encourage them to answer. And so the first thing I would suggest is like, go find a couple of people that you can reach out to. You want a peer level engineer, a more senior level engineer, a recruiter, and a hiring manager. You want to try to reach out to 4 different people at that company, not just one. Go find 4 people. You want a peer level engineer, a more senior engineer than you, a recruiter, and a hiring manager. Now, how do you know which recruiter to reach out to? For most companies, it won't matter. If they're on the recruiting team, they'll either help you or they'll redirect you to someone that can. For the hiring manager, it's just going to be anybody with a manager title, specifically around engineering, like an engineering manager or a director of engineering, something like that is who you'll reach out to there. So you want to find those 4 people first. Now, when you write them a message on LinkedIn, if you just say like, hi, I'm trying to meet people. Okay, what's in it for me though? Like as the recipient of that message, what's my sort of call to action, as we say? Like, why would I respond? Aside from trying to help you out. And if you're saying like, hey, I'm trying to get to know people so I can get a job referral, or hey, I want to apply at your company, can I chat with you? You may or may not get a response. And in your case, it sounds like you're not getting many responses. So what I would do instead is this: as you're researching that company, if you can keep track of the things that are important to you as a developer, like, is it location, is it salary, is it tech stack, is it diversity, is it like, what is it about the company that makes you want to work there? Or just in general, like what kinds of attributes are you looking for in a company where you want to go work? Are you looking for diversity on the executive team? Are you looking for diversity on the management team? Are you looking for diversity in the engineering team itself? Are you looking for whether or not they publish diversity statistics? For me, those are all very important things. When I did my job hunt, I walked away from jobs because the company or the team was not diverse. And I'm like, I don't want to just be another white guy on the team. I don't want to be just another male on the engineering team. Like, I want to work on a more diverse team. And so I literally walked away from jobs because of that. And that's a privilege that you have with experience. In this first job, though, as you're researching these companies and you kind of list out these attributes that you're looking for, let me go find a link real quick. It might make it a little bit easier for me to describe. So techinterview.guide. So if I go over to the website, techinterview.guide, partway down on the list, you're going to see a section called free resources. And on that page, there's a link for thoughts on company research. I'm going to copy this link into chat for you here. This is a spreadsheet that I recommend people make a copy and reuse. And so go hit this webpage and then go open that Google Doc. You should have access to view it. And then this is basically going to share some of my tips around how to do company research. And what you can do on here is you can, so down at the bottom, I've got several tabs. So one is just the introduction, that's got your instructions. The second one is priorities. And that priorities is like what's important to you. And I kind of do a description off on the side, but basically you're kind of listing out like, what's the criteria? Is it important that it's a remote job, that they do test-driven development? What kind of programming languages do they use? Will they pay for relocation? Like which of these things are important to you? If it's not important to you, you can take it off this list. And then the last three tabs are like examples of industries. So if I care about companies with an environmental focus, that tab now is going to say, okay, here's all my criteria. Let me go add a column for each company and try to fill in the blanks based on your company research. How can you fill in these blanks? If you can't find information, that's okay. If you can find it, fill it in. Now, based on what's important to you, when you reach out to those people on LinkedIn, or if you find their email and you contact them via email, or however you try to contact them, and I'm going to share one of my sneaky tips in a minute, go come up with specific questions about what you can't find, or ask them to clarify information that you could find. So if it's really important to you that it's a remote job, and you can't find information as to whether or not a job is remote, that's a question you can ask. Just say, hey, I'm looking for a remote job at the company. So here's what I recommend. When you're crafting that email for who you're going to get in touch with, what you want to do is you want to say, hey, I would love to connect. I'm trying to network and meet people in the industry, but I'm also curious about your company, and I have 3 specific questions I would like to ask. If you have time for a call, if not, if you've got time to respond offline, give them the choice of, I either want a phone call, I want to get on Zoom or Google Meet or something like that, or you can answer me via email. But I would like to talk about these 3 questions, and then give them those questions. So don't just say like, I want to ask about diversity. Just say, this is my question about diversity. Now, when you're doing the intro on LinkedIn, you're limited to how much text you can put in there. You can only do a couple 100 bytes. And so it is a little more limiting. So I would probably phrase that like, hi, I'm Melaruru. I'm trying to meet people at this company. I've got these 3 specific questions. Like, I'm looking for someone at this company that can answer these questions for me. Do you have a minute to chat? Boom, boom, boom. List those 3 questions. You're going to have to make them short. But by giving them those questions, you're now giving them a specific reason to respond. And you're going to find that your engagement with those people is going to go up because you're giving them specific things that you want to ask. And especially if you say like, I'd love to get on a call to ask these things, or if you'd rather do it offline, I would appreciate hearing from you. You're going to find your response rate is going to go up quite a lot. Now, here's my other tip. Because LinkedIn does limit how much text you can do, my other tip then is meetup.com. So on meetup.com, if you know the location of where that person is located, go join a meetup that they're part of. Now, the way to do that is a little bit of a roundabout kind of way. You have to kind of guess which meetups they're part of. So for example, if you are researching me, you might look at my profile on LinkedIn, see that I'm a Python developer. Cool, I'm in the Denver area. Go find meetups in the Denver area about Python, and then look in the member list on there and see whether I'm a member in there. If I am, join that meetup as a member, and then send me a message through meetup.com. You're not limited on the length, and it shows that we have something in common. So you're not just another random developer trying to connect with me on LinkedIn. You have a specific connection with me because you're also part of that meetup that I'm a part of. And you can say, hey, I see you're also part of this meetup. I've got some questions about your particular company. If you have a minute, these are the questions I'd like to ask. Are you available for a call on Zoom, or would you mind answering these offline? That email is going to go from meetup.com directly to my inbox, where on LinkedIn, I'm just going to see like, so-and-so wants to connect with you. And it may or may not show me that message. I've actually got to go to LinkedIn, and then I only see like the first sentence. I've got to expand it if I want to read the whole thing. There's a lot more work involved with me reading that message, where when you send it on Meetup, it's going to send me that whole message to my inbox, or when I log into Meetup, I'm going to be able to see that whole message all in one shot. And again, because we've got that commonality now, I'm a lot more likely to respond. So you want to show that you've got common ground with them and say like, oh, hey, I noticed you also happen to be part of this meetup. And you can say like, you know, what's been your involvement with this meetup? What do you like about it? By the way, I'm really interested in your company. I've got these specific questions. If you have a minute, I'd like to get on a call. There's a fine line between stalking and job hunting for sure. Absolutely. And so you don't want to be too stalkery about it. And sometimes you will have to look through several meetups in order to find whether they're even part of a meetup. And if they're not part of a meetup, then you have to reach out on LinkedIn. Where it feels very stalkery is like trying to find their actual email address and like send them a direct email and say, hey, I'm a developer in the area. I found your email address. That's like, okay, now it tells me you've gone like way above and beyond to try to contact me specifically. And that can be a little weird. Especially if you're a guy and you're reaching out to a non-male, that can also feel aggressive. And so I would be careful about that sort of approach. Because they're going to be way less likely if that's the scenario. So those would be things that I would take into consideration there. So if you can't find them on Meetup, if it's not easy to find them, or you don't know where they're located to find meetups where they might be part of that meetup, then you have to connect on LinkedIn and you have to keep that very succinct. And that intro message could be, I have 2 questions that I'd like to ask about your specific company. If you you know, if you can summarize it a little bit in that 300 characters or whatever that LinkedIn allows, then that would be the way to go. But give them the option of phone call or respond asynchronously. And I think you're going to get a much higher response rate on that. You're female, so the threat level is probably pretty low. I agree. Yep. Cool. So those would be my favorite tips for network and outreach, as well as combining that with your company research. And so kind of to recap again, you want to do that company research, and then the questions that you ask in those calls, get them to fill in the gaps where you could not find information, or get them to confirm information you could find. So for example, when I worked at Turing, we only had like 30 or 40 employees, but if you go look up Turing as a school on LinkedIn, it says we've got like 200 employees. It's because a lot of people that go through the program say that they work at Turing, which to me feels weird. And I've actually coached several people, like, take that off your experience on LinkedIn. You don't actually work at the school. It's not actual professional experience. It's project-based learning. It's project experience. It's not professional experience. But if you go look at Turing, you're like, wow, they got 200 employees. That's a pretty good sized school. It's like, no, they've only got like 40, 50 employees. And so you can ask them to confirm information that you can find. It's like, hey, I see on LinkedIn that you got like 200 employees. Is that accurate? And they say, no, it's more like 50. It's like, oh, cool. How many of those 50 people are actual like engineers of the company? Like, how big is the engineering team? How diverse is that? Like, you can start asking those specific questions to start filling in that spreadsheet with more and more data. And then you want to ask yourself all the time, as you're finding information or not, you want to constantly ask yourself, is this okay with me? That I found this, that I couldn't find this? Was it easy to go contact those people or not? So I would recommend, like, make a copy of that spreadsheet, start filling that thing in. That's my company research in a nutshell, and then how to use that as your networking tool. It makes those introductions a lot less cold, as we call it. Like, cold outreach is just like, hi, I'm Ian, I'm trying to get to know people. It's like, okay, well, okay, do I have time to make a social connection, or do you actually want something from me? And some people don't like to feel sort of used. Someone on a previous stream was like, well, if you reach out to people like and say like, hey, can you submit my resume? It's like, yeah, but that's kind of the point of building a network and nurturing a network and so on, is that you're utilizing that specifically on purpose. So there are different aspects in there to take into account, but I think you can make those introductions where it doesn't feel like, hey, I want to get to know you because I eventually want you to refer me for a job. I would do that like a couple of conversations in. So when they respond, have that conversation, say, hey, I really appreciate this. I'm looking to apply. Hey, have you got like 15 seconds to look over my resume real quick and just see, like, does it look like I would be a good applicant? You can also straight up ask them like, hey, do you have a referral program at your company? Like, when I apply, can I use your name and let you get a referral? I appreciate you helping me out. And so if you can get a referral bonus when I apply, you know, I'd love to pay you back in that regard, or in that way. You know, a lot of companies I think are doing more and more referral programs. And so it's worth it for them financially to help you out too. Now, I recently referred someone through the stream. They contacted me through this stream. They wanted to go apply at Postman where I work. And I referred them, and I'm like, I don't really know the person. We've had a couple conversations. I looked over their resume, and I'm submitting it here as a referral. I don't think I get a referral bonus if they get hired, but I'm happy to make referrals in that regard. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. Here's my LinkedIn profile. You can connect with me. And if there's anybody in my network that I can introduce you to, I'm happy to make an introduction. Say, hey, this person has hung out on my live stream. They've asked some really good questions. They would like to find someone at this or that company. Can you, do you have a minute to chat with them? I'm more than happy to make those introductions for people. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. I will happily make those connections for you. We got back through chat. Juggling biohazards, good to see you. So juggling, while you're here, panel number 13 is right behind my head. It's like right here behind my head. Would you like a panel over on this side for me to 3D print that design? So juggling biohazards gifted 5 gift subs to other followers to the channel, and I really appreciate that. And so I've offered Juggling Biohazards one of these panels on the wall to 3D print a logo and put it on top of that panel. And we actually found a really cool like juggler type of silhouette, and we're gonna 3D print the little biohazard symbol, so it looks like they're juggling biohazard symbols. And I'm gonna hang it over top of a panel. Because the panels are like a fair distance away from me, it's gonna be a little hard to see the actual biohazard, but they chose panel number 13, which counting from the bottom and going this way would have made this one number 13, which is right behind my head. So unless I move the camera to where I'm like over on the side again, you're not going to see your panel with the juggling biohazard. So if you would like one of these panels over here, I think what I'll do is I'll just print it, and I'm just going to hang it over like a prominent one that you can see. Like I might hang it over this one, which would be really prominent. So yeah, we'll figure that out. So I got to get it printed. I'm madly scrambling to 3D print dragons. So I've got a whole giveaway thing that I talk about down here. So I'm going to go off on that, and then I'll kind of catch it back up on chat. And so it's the whole month of May, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be doing giveaways. So if you're here in chat, I'm going to do like a typical sort of giveaway where you do like exclamation point enter, or what we call bang enter. And you'll be able to enter a giveaway starting tomorrow. Every stream I do in May, I'm going to do a giveaway. And the prize is one of these lovely 3D printed dragons. And so I've got this style of dragon, and I've got lots of multicolor filaments going. I've also got solid color filaments. But I've got like some really cool rainbow filaments that change color over time. But then I've also got just solid color as well. So like just, solid gold type of color. But then this is the other dragon style that I have. So this is called the Imperial Dragon, and it will actually stand up if you balance it well on a desk. It'll actually stand up on its own. And all of the parts are like 3D printed, and it's all like you basically take it off the printer and it moves all on its own. All the hinges are sealed up, and it won't come apart unless you like crack it and break it. But I'm going to be giving away these dragons every stream in the month of May. But I'm also going to be giving them away to people that subscribe to my email series. So go check out the email series. The link is down here under my face. You can just go to techinterview.guide/daily-email-series. You can do bang email in chat here as well. Let's do bang email. And there's the link that you can go subscribe. There's a double opt-in. So when you put in your email address, it'll send you an email with a link. You have to click on that link, and then that will actually subscribe you. And then starting tomorrow, you're going to get 6 weeks worth of daily emails. As soon as it's over, it unsubscribes you. If you have a question about anything in there, or you want to reach my inbox, just reply to any message. It'll come straight to my inbox. And I'm happy to chat with folks from there. So go check that out. I'm going to be giving away tons of these dragons. Hey, Chris, good to see you in chat. So Chris, new dragon style. So if you or Jedi are interested, you can come hang out on the stream sometime. So I'm going to continue streaming Thursdays and Sunday mornings. So Thursday night and Sunday morning. I do need to update the website for that. The schedule here on Twitch is up to date. And so if you go look at the schedule here on Twitch, you'll see what time of day I stream. And it will adjust for your time zone. But I do need to update the website to show that I'm streaming Sunday morning now instead of Sunday evening. But yeah, come hang out on the stream, and we'll do a giveaway. And I've got probably a dozen of the original dragons all printed up, all different colors. You see them all here on the desk behind me. Lots of different shades of golds and dark colors. I've got glow in the dark, sparkle, like all kinds of cool dragons to give away. And every stream I do in May, I'm going to give away several. And then towards the end of May, if I've got lots left over, I'm just going to do a blitz and be like, all right, you get a dragon, and you get a dragon, and you get a dragon, and I'm going to ship them wherever they need to go. So don't worry about where you are. I'm going to ship them to you. So yeah, so that'll be a fun little giveaway that I'm doing in the month of May. So thanks for hanging out. Let's see what else we got in chat here. So yeah, so Millaroo, hopefully that gives you a little more insight into my thoughts around networking and using that company research to make networking a little bit easier for you. Not Brayman, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. And give you some blinky lights. Oh, I can't do blinky lights because my nano leaf's broken, but I can give you applause at least. So thank you for that. I need to fix my nano leaf setup at some point. I was hoping to do that on the stream, but awesome questions came in, and that often distracts. So it's all good. Sam Kidcat followed up in chat with Melaruru, said, I've had good luck messaging people who made a post about open positions that I want. They're expecting people to message them. Yeah. And so again, if you can reach out to a peer level developer, a more senior level developer, a recruiter, and a hiring manager, go find 4 people at that company. Reach out to all of them, ask them all the same questions, and then you can kind of gauge all of their answers. Like, are they all answering kind of the same things? That would be a good sort of takeaway as well, to kind of compare those answers and make sure everybody's telling like the same story. That can also be an important part of company culture and stuff like that too. So awesome. Well, as we mentioned, Loyal Moses is doing a gigantic streamer appreciation thing going on today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to raid over to Loyal's channel, and everybody who is a viewer is going to have opportunity to enter some sort of giveaway over on his channel. Rumor has it he's maybe giving away a 3D printer, but I know that there's at least some t-shirts involved. And then if you're a streamer, if you raid over at his channel, you're gonna have the opportunity to win a Stream Deck XL. That's the big 30 key programmable keyboard, as well as the Elgato key light. And so if you're a streamer, go stream for a little bit, build up your viewers, and then go raid over to his channel. And I think they'll offer you the opportunity, if you want, you can get on like the call and basically introduce yourself and talk about what you do as a streamer and things like that. And the whole idea is like, let's expose different people to different kinds of streams here on Twitch and help each other grow our audiences. You know, just to get some extra exposure to what you do. So Sam, if you feel like it, go start raiding. Chris, I don't know if you're planning on being part of that today or not. But it's a good way to just build up your following and get to meet other people and just chat about what you do as a streamer and things like that. So I'm gonna go raid into Loyal's channel right now. So get some hype going in chat when we get over there. Drop lots of emotes. If you want to use up some channel points, you can redeem channel points for my emojis, because right now they're only available to subscribers. But if you're not a subscriber, that's okay. You can use your channel points to unlock them. I made them fairly cheap. I think it's like 80 points to sort of unlock an emote. So start redeeming those right now, because we're gonna raid over there in a minute. So start redeeming those. So when we get over there, you can like blast my little emotes in chat. And then pay attention. You might have to hang out there for a little bit to figure out like what kind of giveaway he's doing or what time of day he's doing them. Because he's planning on streaming a long time today. He wants to go like well into the evening and just have a constant stream of people coming in. And so pay attention to sort of the timing of his giveaways and so on, and then hang out for as long as you like. And then I would say, Sam, if you're going to go raid, or if you're going to go stream and then raid in, let us know. So we'll go hang out on Loyal's channel for a little while, and then we'll come watch you, and then we'll raid back in with you. So let me know if you're thinking about doing that as well. Not Brayman, thanks for throwing the emojis in there. So yeah, if you're interested in that, so Sam, if you're thinking about doing it, let us know here in chat before we go over, and then we'll hang out on Loyal's channel, and then we'll wait for you to start streaming. So go give Sam KitKat a follow right now, everybody. And then when Sam starts streaming, if you're going to stream, we'll come join your stream, and then we'll raid over with you as well. Cool. Damn Life 69, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. I would give you some blinky lights, but my nano leaf's broken, so the best I can do is some applause. So thanks for the follow, appreciate that. you came in just in time for us to raid over to another channel. So we're going to go hang out over there. There's a bunch of giveaways happening, and Loyal's just a really great guy. He gives away tons of stuff all the time. He's giving away 3D printers and 3D filament. Today he's giving away some streamer gear. So if you're a streamer, go start streaming, build up your audience, and then get over to his channel too. So we'll see you over there in just a couple of moments. Sam Kitkat says, I might do some Code Wars, but not too sure yet. I mean, go start on a Code Wars and then raid over from there. Yeah, let's go set up that raid. And then I'm going to hang out over there. I'm going to be doing mock interviews like all throughout the day. So I've only got about an hour and a half that I can go hang out on Loyal's channel. And then I got to go do a mock interview for an hour. And then I'll go hang out on the channel for an hour. And then I got a mock interview for an hour. So I'm going to be like back and forth a bunch. But yeah, we'll see you over there in a couple of moments. Thanks for hanging out today. I'm going to get this recording up on YouTube soon. So I'll get that up probably later this afternoon. And thanks again for all the great questions. We'll see you over on Loyal's channel.